happy Plant Wednesday. This week we're going to talk about choosing the perfect plant for your space. And I've had a lot of comments recently that people wanted to know what plants would be good in different parts of their house. So starting off in the bathroom, one of the perfect plants that I can think of to put in there is the Calathea, which is one of my personal favorites because it moves throughout the day, which is really fun. You can be walking in the hall or taking a shower and all of a sudden you'll hear a rustle and it's your Calathea sitting in your bathroom moving its leaves, so that's pretty awesome. If you do record these plants throughout the day on video, you can see them move if you speed up the shutter speed, but that's really cool and I do recommend doing that if you have one of these plants. Another plant that I can think of is ferns. Those are really awesome. Both of those plants love the mist that comes from the shower. If you don't have those in a bathroom, I do recommend that you mist them every day because they have a tendency to dry out. Their soil is a bit more high maintenance, so that's something to think about if you're going to be out of town a lot. Those are not the plants for you because they need to be kept moist. So either you're going to have to be there monitoring, or you're going to have to make sure that you have a surefire way of making sure that you know how the soil is and if it's staying correct for your plant. Another setting that I can think of is probably the living room. So far we've listed like really low light plants because in the bathroom you'd have that super low light. In the living room you might have a little bit more light. I can think of my Swiss cheese plant, which I'll show you all right there. That guy likes some bright indirect light, very quick grower. If you like want something that's kind of gonna blossom everywhere, not really blossom like a flower, but you know what I mean. But something that's really gonna explode and expand in your space, that's a really great find. It does have to be kept moist. Another plant that I can think of is my fiddle leaf fig. That one's super high maintenance because you do have to watch about light and watering. He likes to stay kind of moist, but not too moist. He's very finicky. That's like one of the most finicky plants that you can possibly have. So I don't recommend that unless you are a very highly experienced plant owner. Another plant that I can think of in a more brighter space, such as a sunroom or out on the deck or something like that, somewhere where you have a lot of light, is cacti or succulents. And I'll pick up these guys to show you all. But they come in a lot of different varieties. And the fuzzy ones are always my favorite. These guys are kind of small. You can find them smaller or you can find them larger. I have a prickly pear in here, and I think also a saguaro cactus. He's got spines on him that are like 2 or 3 inches long. They'll penetrate cardboard and will not break. So that is also something to think about if you want those plants in your space, because they are kind of dangerous if you have like pets or things like that. You kind of want to keep them out of the way. A lot of the different ones are poisonous, like this guy. The inside of him has this like kind of like a milky substance, and let me just stumble over my words. But if the pet gets in contact with it, it might irritate either your skin or the pet's skin, or if they end up ingesting it, it could cause them to have an upset stomach or get sick, or if they eat a lot of it, I'd take them to the vet, because that's dangerous. One of them to really watch out for is the pencil cactus, because that guy doesn't have any spines on him, and he has these like long spindly things. So like if you have cats or dogs or things like that, they're gonna want to chew on them, but those are really poisonous and can cause a lot of harm to your pets, so watch out for that. Another plant that I can think of that's more of a bright light setting is this beautiful aloe. Aloes are great to have. They're pretty fast growing. You have to keep them a little bit more moist than you would a cactus. So if you want a super low maintenance plant and you can have it up out of the way, I do recommend a cactus, but if you want something that's kind of gonna fill your space, I do recommend an aloe. One of the most common like medical aloes, those guys grow super fast and they kind of expand, so if you want kind of like a showpiece, then those are an excellent one to choose. There's also succulents. I'm gonna pick up this guy. This guy's a rescue. You can put these guys out on your porch just like cacti. Just make sure, you know, these guys can tolerate water more than cacti do. You don't want to water directly on a cactus. You can water directly on a succulent. These guys I picked up the other day for like $3 at Evergreen. They're on sale a lot right now because a lot of these guys need TLC. They weren't getting the proper amount of sunlight, so their leaves kind of aren't compact, but they will spring back if you know how to spring them back. Another plant I recommend in a bright and direct light setting is this Haworthia cooperi. There's many different types of Haworthia. They have this little like clear tips a lot of times on them, and in the sunlight, so gorgeous. Just looks like water or something sitting on your plant. So pretty. If you want plants that are really fast growing, that light, bright, indirect light, can sit outside on your porch or things like that. This Purple Heart, really quick grower, goes everywhere. I started that guy before Christmas and now he's exploded that much. So let me think about another plant. Moses in a Cradle is the same way. Pregnant Onion, I love that guy. Ponytail Palm is awesome to have if you have a bright lit space. They're kind of like cacti, I love the sun. Agaves, once again, really good plants to have. Here's a different kind of succulent that's been popping up all over town right now. So I'm excited to learn more about this guy. There's a different type of succulent. Planchcos, which I've shown you all before. Those are really fun to have. Once again, another type of succulent. Sedums are fun to have if you have like a yard or something, just put them out, they'll love it. Orchids are nice to have. A lot of times they'll tell you to put an ice cube on them. Don't do that. That can end up damaging the roots. Don't put ice cubes on your orchids. Instead, water them a little bit. I've started trying to soak mine and see how that works, but I've got about 4 orchids that I'm working on right now. Don't use ice cubes, let them absorb the water naturally. I also recommend air plants. Let me grab an air plant. Here's an air plant. These guys, instead of misting, make sure that you put them in the sink once a week for an hour for a soak. Flick them off, they're done. That's all you have to do. That's all the maintenance that they need every week. So if you're sitting and trying to spray them every night, make it easier on yourself. Just put them in you want to submerge them in water. Sometimes they'll float, that's fine. Just make sure that they dunk in at least once. Just let them sit in water, absorb it for an hour. Not an hour. What am I saying? Not that long, but about 28 minutes. So let them absorb that water for about 28 minutes or 30 minutes. And let me think. One more that I can think of is living stones or split rocks. Those the sun as well. Those are really low maintenance. They don't like a lot of water. And yeah, that's kind of the basics of some plants that I could recommend. But there's tons of plants in here, and there's tons to choose from. Let's say mother-in-law's tongue, great plant for your bedroom. Something that likes bright, indirect, low light, if you have that kind of setting. So that's something to think about. If you all have any questions about plants in different spaces, let me know. And that's all for this week, guys. So thanks for tuning in for our Plant Wednesday, and I'll see you all next week. Bye, guys!